Hi, my name is Erica Conley, and I am a school psychologist. I currently live in Los Angeles, California, and I work for one of the largest school districts here in LA. It's LA Unified School District. I didn't know at first when I went to college that I wanted to be a school psychologist. I just was really interested in psychology and also education. So I thought, well, maybe I'll teach psychology, or I just really wasn't sure. So I joined the psychology club, and they had people from all different professions related to psychology come in and speak to our group. And when I found out about school psychology, I thought that sounded like a really great fit for me. Um, you work in a school setting, and typically you follow a school calendar, but you get to visit with students and do things like counseling. And then you also do some different types of assessments. So sometimes we assess students to see their learning potential, if they're eligible for like a gifted and talented program. Sometimes we assess students when they're having difficulty with learning to see if maybe they have a learning disability, or another disability, maybe like autism or an intellectual disability. And it just gives you an opportunity to work one-on-one with students, but also in small group settings. And then I get to spend a lot of time talking with other teachers and other educators and counselors. And we all work together to help students be successful, both, academically, but socially and emotionally as well. Um, as far as school, it required me to go to undergrad, and I got my degree in psychology with a minor in education. And then I attended graduate school at the University of Florida, and I got my education specialist degree in school psychology. That was 2 years of school with classes. And during that time, I had some school-based experience. So I had one day a week that I worked in a school with a school psychologist, learning how to do my job. And then I spent my third year of graduate school in a full-time internship. So I worked with a school psychologist full-time, learning how to do my job at a more independent level. During the second half of the school year, then I had, my own schools and worked as a school psychologist intern. So it took me 4 years of undergrad plus 3 years of graduate school. Um, to be a school psychologist, I think it's important that you be organized and be flexible, and be a good communicator. So you have to work with students, and you have to work with parents, and you have to work with other teachers. And sometimes you're working on things that are challenging for people. And so you have to be able to really be a good listener and understand what their needs are and try to be a problem solver. It also requires me to be, again, flexible. So sometimes I have things planned, but maybe there's a crisis, or maybe there's an emergency, or maybe someone is really struggling with something and they need to visit with me. So I can kind of flex my day and move some things around to make sure I can support their needs. Um, on an average day, it really kind of depends on where you are. So though I am currently a school psychologist in Los Angeles, I am at a high school full time. So I'm at the high school all day, every day. And some days I have meetings to talk about things that students need. Sometimes I am completing some of those assessment and testing activities. So like IQ tests and cognitive processing tests, things that help me to understand how people learn. Sometimes I am meeting with students for counseling. So maybe I'm helping to teach them social skills, or I'm helping them figure out how to be better at organizing and planning their day, or, working on practicing impulse control skills to help them be more successful with their peers or with adults. Um, so all of my days look a little different, which is nice because it gives me a lot of variety and it keeps it really interesting. I would say the best part of my job is getting to work with students of all ages. I am in high school right now, but I have also worked in Arkansas and in Florida as a school psychologist and served anywhere from pre-K students all the way up to 12th grade. And kids say the darndest things. You never know what they're going to say to you. And you never know how you might be really helping to support someone. And I think that that's the best part. That's the most rewarding part. A lot of times We don't know how much we're really helping one person, but getting to work one-on-one with kids kind of helps you to see that a little bit easier. Um, I would say the hardest part of my job is that um, I like to be a helper. And so I can often help with a lot of things. I can help when a student is having academic difficulties. I can help if they're having some behavior problems. I can kind of help to get everybody at a school team on the same page. And so oftentimes I am called upon to participate because wear a lot of hats. And so I think sometimes the hardest part of my job is um, if I have to say no because I have a lot of things to do. I don't like to say no, and so that can be a little bit difficult, but try to find a way to balance everybody's needs along with your own, and to keep work at work. So, because you could work all day and all night if you wanted to. As far as long-term career goals, I really love being a school psychologist and I like working directly with students. I might one day like to be like a lead school psychologist, so helping to train other school psychologists to do what I do. And definitely continuing to work with graduate students. I have supervised students in the past as I was supervised during my training, and I think it's very helpful. Um, in terms of finding a career you love, I think you need to think about what what kind of schedule you like and what kind of brings you joy. So for me, being interested in psychology and enjoying listening to people's stories and helping them process why they do what they do or think what they think is really enjoyable for me. And so I get to do that on a day-to-day basis. And it also requires some, again, problem solving and data analysis, which I think can be really interesting and rewarding with the right content. As far as interviews, I think, be yourself, be personable, be positive, be organized. Um, those are the skills that you need as a school psychologist day to day. And so if you can communicate that in an interview, that's really good for them to see. And they want to see that you can work well with other people. Job outlook currently, given the difficulties we've had in schools with school shootings and things like that, mental health is a bigger focus than ever. In a lot of areas, funding is being increased for mental health supports in the school system, and there is a shortage of school psychologists available. So I would say it's a good outlook. Definitely an advanced degree, an education specialist degree or a master's degree don't require you to do a dissertation, but you do get some really good specialized training, and then you can get out there in the field and work. Um, so I would say if you are at all interested in being a school psychologist, you should give it a go. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.